how to play against the most popular defense in chess, so-called the Sicilian defense? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Just put your bishop on b5 and see what your opponent does. Jokes aside, in this video series I'm going to teach you how to play bishop b5 variations against the Sicilian defense, which I believe Moscow variation and rossolimo attack are one of the most powerful and dangerous ways to deal with Sicilian defense, and perhaps it's the most uncomfortable variations for the black pieces. In the first video I'm going to show you one of the brilliancies of the 21st century by the genius himself, Alireza Firouzja, against one of the most creative chess players of all time, Richard Raport. This game is a very, very important game in Norway chess 2021, the last round, and both of these players are playing for winning the whole thing and for winning the tournament. So Alireza has the white pieces. This is 2021, and Richard Raport is playing with the black pieces. Let's go and find what Alireza Firouzja does in this game. Alireza kicks off with pawn to e4. Well, we have the Sicilian defense, nothing new because we know we are going to play against Sicilian, and here it comes, bishop b5. To be honest with you, I was a hater of this variation because I played it with black, and all of the times which my opponents plays bishop b5, I just felt uncomfortable, and based on that I learned to play it with the white pieces, and now I know some of techniques how to play it against it also with the black pieces, which I will show you in the later videos of this series, how to play these variations also with the black pieces. But bishop b5, here black has some lines, g6, the most popular one, e6, Magnus usually plays e6, he also plays g6, and there is a knight f6 also here, queen c7, but knight f6 was not so much popular because it had a bad reputation that white will get some advantages. Knight to c3, and here we have famous games like with queen c7, Magnus played it against Peter Swidler in 2012, like queen c7, castle, something like this, knight d4 takes knight d5. I believe this was the game between them, and Magnus lost this game very, very simply. I'm not going to explore these lines because in this game Richard Raport plays knight d4. Perhaps in later videos I will also show you queen c7. Please write down in the comments if you want to learn how to play against queen c7. But knight d4, this move especially was not supposed to be a good move because white plays e5. I also played this line a lot with e5, and all of the times that my opponent played knight to d4, I thought, okay, e5, I'm just going to crush him. But I guess it was in 2019, I'm not quite sure, that Magnus played these lines against none other than Fabiano Caruana, and so, okay, I thought that, okay, it might be something serious, really. And here Magnus took on b5, the main line, knight takes b5, and knight d5, and in all of my games, I always played knight g5, which was a very strong move. And I always thought that I have very strong attack, especially if black plays e6, which is a blunder in this position, like a strategical blunder, because after this white plays knight d4, and this hole on d6 white will win the game, so it's not possible to play e6, white is completely winning here. But here there are other moves like f6, h6, a6, which are still playable for black. You can explore them, but in this game Alireza Firouzja just played castle. A completely new move, a novelty in this position. Basically everybody plays knight g5 in this position and hopes for crushing black in very few moves, but castle is a new move. And Richard Raport plays a6. By the way, just do not pay attention to the clock because this is not right. They had 2 hours in the beginning of the game, so it's just messed up. This is not the real-time situation in the game. And here Alireza, instead of going back, he plays c4. Alireza Firouzja is a creative player, and he always plays for intuition, for initiative. He plays on his intuition, but he plays for initiative in chess. And here he plays c4. He counterattacks, and if a takes b5, okay, c takes d5, white is completely winning. But and if knight c7, we will take, and d4, white has a very good position. I mean, this is total domination. Bishop can come to e3, to f4, rook comes to d1, c1, e1, and white is very good. And look at the black pieces, they are not yet developed. So and a takes b5 is also wrong, so Richard Raport decided to come forward. He plays knight to b4. And here Alireza come back with knight c3, and here d6. So what Richard says is that I'm going to break your center. If you're going to take, I will take back, or even I can maybe play e6 also. And I have the two bishops, and it's a very good position. Also consider this, that in this game both players are playing for winning, because there is a game between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi, which was running during this game, and if Magnus wins, he wins the whole tournament, but if Magnus drew or if Magnus loses, then these two players have chances. Both of them have chances. They are half a point behind Magnus Carlsen, so the tournament situation also is very important in players' decisions. And here Alireza plays d4, and this move is really a dangerous move for white, because you might thought, okay, d4 is a completely natural move, what the hell are you talking about? But this includes a big risk. This includes a big risk because black takes. And the reason is we cannot take back with the knight because he has d takes e5, but what happens if queen takes d4, then black plays knight c2, and it's a fork, bro. It's a fork, and he's going to win the game. But Alireza Firouzja plays queen takes d4. He's a genius. And he allows Raport to play knight c2, and if he doesn't play knight c2, then he's not a chess player. Of course, he should play knight c2 because otherwise he's lost. I mean, if d takes e5, queen takes e5, white is completely better. So knight c2, queen to e4, centralizing the queen. And after knight takes a1, Alireza Firouzja, or better to say Alireza freaking Firouzja, plays bishop f4. And in the post-game interview, when everybody was thinking that, okay, Alireza has prepped for this game and this rook sacrifice is a prep, he just came up with this idea over the board. I mean, in a very important game like this, he sacrificed an exchange. Of course, he's going to take back this knight. It's not a whole rook, but because the queen also protects c2, but it's a very big decision. I mean, this guy is embracing the danger in his games. Well, Richard Raport plays bishop e6. He's going to close this e line because e takes d6 is a threat. And with bishop e6, he develops a bishop. Rook takes a1 and rook c8. Black starts to create threats. And in this position, Alireza plays knight d5, which is a completely understandable decision. But b3 was better because of some specific variations. And after queen a5, he can play knight d5, and this c4 pawn is well protected. But in the spirit of the game, Alireza is just playing forward. He plays knight d5. He wants to crush black, and this is a very important position for black. And Raport managed to play the best move. It's a very important decision, because if he, for example, plays g6 just after this, white is completely winning. It's over. These dark squares are going to crash. And so he plays d takes e5, but now the knight comes, and look at this king. It hasn't castled, and what he's going to do. Here it's a very important position of the game. And the most practical decision to my eyes for Richard Raport is to play rook takes c4. Because it removes the defender of the d5 square, and it's with the idea to sack back the exchange. And it seems that it's very good because black has two bishops and one extra pawn. But the reason he doesn't play that is because of rook c1. Rook c8 is a check, so bishop e6 only move, rook c7. And after f6, even knight d3. This position, Raport might thought that, okay, the best thing to me that can happen to me in this position is a draw, and I'm not satisfied with the draw. Of course, black can still try. He has two bishops, and for me, it's I mean, regardless of the tournament situation, this was the best decision. Although Richard Raport plays the first computer engine move, plays f6, but this move includes risk. Most of you might thought, okay, knight g6, I saw what you mean, but no, this is not the reason. If queen takes g6, just bishop f7, and if you take here, then rook c6, and it's basically nothing. Queen e4, king f7, and these pawns are protecting the king well enough, so it's not possible to play like this. But against f6, Alireza plays knight f3, now the bishop is hanging, and here is a very important and critical position. Queen d7 or king f7 was the moves that Raport should have considered, but he decided to take on d5. He was not able to tolerate this knight anymore, and I can completely understand it, because even after queen d7, what's the point? He just plays rook e1, so I should take it now. Or if I play rook d4, then, or rook c6, then there is knight d4, and so what is this? And there is not, I have to take on d5 nevertheless. If I play king f7, once again rook e1, then I have to take it. So what's the difference? And it's really a very big question. What's the difference? And you need to calculate everything to understand what's the difference. Bishop takes d5, c takes d5, and here the thing is that white is not didn't place his rook on e1. This is difference in so many positions. Let's see, rook c5, and white just simply plays d6. He decides to attack the king. So in this position, rook c5 is actually the best move. He attacks the pawn, and now d6 and queen to d7. It's interesting to know that e5 will lose on the spot. So it's a very complicated position. It's one of those positions that Alireza Firouzja loves to play, and also Richard Raport loves to play. But white is on the attacking side of this game, so I can tell you that I will pick white any day of the week in this position. But e5 will going to lose, just b4. The rook has to move, and then e5 pawn will hang apart, because after rook b5, once again a4, and then just simply knight takes e5. Takes. If king d7, just queen f5 check here, and you can see this is over. And on bishop b7, so many moves are winning the game. Rook e1 wins, queen takes g7 wins, so this is over. So I'm not going to cover this. So here Richard Raport decided to play queen d7, and here b4. Go back. Imagine if with these moves there is a rook on e1 and king on f7. It was a very, very easier task for black to defend this position. b4, go back, and here now comes rook e1. So white might wants to play d takes e7 in so many lines and capture the bishop. So black plays king f7 to prevent that, and he says, okay, if d takes e7, I can just develop my bishop. But here it comes, knight to d4. And after this, black is with a very hard decision. e5 was a better idea, but who can find that after bishop e5, the only move is king d8? And still white can play e4. And you cannot take on e5 because of knight takes e5. You need to take on d6. This is the best line, b5, rook c7. And I don't believe, if I'm playing with black pieces, I just think that this position I'm lost. Because my king is on d8, he can take on a6, he can take on d6, his knight can come to d4. I just believe that this position I'm going to lose it. But computer says white has only have a small plus. But in the game he plays king f7 and then knight d4. Move your rook. Maybe rook takes d6 was the lost chance, but he plays e5. He wants to, his whole idea was to play e5 with king f7, but now white just simply gives a check and king g6. And here you can see if you find the best move for white. White just simply crushes this king with a very simple move, bishop takes e5. Of course, if you take back, there are so many moves, but knight f3 with the idea of knight takes e5 is just going to crash, because even if you play like this, you're going to lose your queen. So this is completely lost in the game. He plays rook takes d6, but bishop takes d6, and here a check, another check to gain time, and g3. Be aware. Bishop takes h2 is coming, g3, h6, and rook to d1. He wants to use this pin on the d line. Rook e8, knight just go back to f3. He wants to take. And after rook comes to e6, here knight to h4 check, and here maybe Raport was relying that if I knight f5 I will play rook e5 and I'm still in the game, but Alireza plays queen d3 check, the most precise move. Now if you play king g8, knight f5 is going to win, because if you play rook e5 then I will take with the knight and it's a whole piece. I'm very thrilled by this game. I mean, the way that Alireza played it, I mean, I'm looking forward to see if one of my opponents plays this line. I will play this variation, and I guess this is the best line for black. And if I reach this position, I will have a lot of fun. And actually, here if I'm going to play it, I will play with b3. And you know this position is going to be a lot of fun. Here a computer suggests queen takes e5, which is a little bit peculiar to me, but maybe he wants to prevent okay, it's hard to pronounce it in English. Okay, but maybe it prevents f6, bishop d7, rook e1. Okay, or maybe even rook d1 is a better try. And it's a hard position for black to play. If this is the best that black can play, then I can see that white has lots of options in this position, and it's very good to play these positions over the board. So this is the first video with this brilliancy by Alireza Firouzja in bishop b5 lines. I hope you learned a lot of things. Write down in the comments what you learned from this video, and please like the videos, write your comments, and share it with your friends, because it means a lot to me to continue this series on bishop b5 variations against Sicilian defense. And remember always to enjoy chess and life.